Hello. Welcome everyone back to our 10th round of CanAm. We are here in Monza for this next instalment. So we will have just short qualifying today. Unfortunately, not quite enough drivers to make it to the full qualifying session, but no doubt we will still have just as an interesting session as we have done for the previous 9 rounds. So we've got Monza coming up, as you can see. We've got it as 5.7 kilometers in length. We've got 11 corners to contend with, 7 to the right, 4 to the left. Also 2 DRS zones to contend with as well. 1 down the main straight and 1 in sector 2 just before the Ascari chicane. So a few difficult corners to contend with tonight, especially up at turns 1, 2, 4 and 5. A couple of slow little corners to deal with, but the rest is all high speed. A couple of medium speed corners just as we come up to sector just as we come up to the end of sector 1 for the double right-hander of Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. So a couple of drivers heading out on track as we build up to our pole position taker for today. So who have we got first out on track? It looks to be the Mercedes of Pizza. Indeed it is. So on his outlap, coming up through Curva Grande into the slow corners of 4 and 5. Just on his outlap, everyone currently actually are about to start there, or no doubt about to go out. As we just sit and wait for Pizza in his lovely looking silver Mercedes here. So who will be the second driver to cross the start line? We've got McCoy and Mr. G will be third and fourth across the line. Is the Ferrari of Logan will be second across the line. So let's go on board Pizza here on his flying lap. Overtake on DRS wide open. Down into the little slow corners. Oh, that's a bit of a bump across the chicane there. Not the start of the lap Pizza would have wanted. As we go on board Logan here, straight through turns 1 and 2 nicely, up into turns 3 of Curva Grande here, through sector 1 as he sets the benchmark for our session today of a 26.7 so far to start us off. Up into 4 and 5, took them quite nicely. Up into Lesmo 1, takes that quite nice. Absolutely perfect there. Does have his teammate just ahead of him. Goes slightly wide on the exit of Lesmo 2, but keeps it out of the opposing barrier. DRS wide open, getting a nice toe there as well off of his teammate. Setting some nice little benchmark lap times here, or sector times here. Teammate just moves out of the way through the Ascari chicane up through into Parabolica now, and goes nice and tight to the apex. Brings it out just wide as you need to through there. Doesn't quite take the apex on the exit, but does go across the line to set a benchmark of a 121.1. Nice little time from our Ferrari there. McCoy does go provisional pole so far with a 20.7. How is Mr. G getting along? Has gone into the pit lane. Oliver does go pole. Zuck goes fourth fastest. Oscar, sorry, now on his flying lap for his first and goes P4 with a 21.2 so far. Nice little lap time there for his opening lap. As we see Ryan just starting his fast lap now. Adam goes provisional pole so far with a 20.3 in his Aston Martin, looking for a good haul of points in the Monza today. So Ryan in his McLaren looking to prepare himself up the standings while he is currently unfortunately in the bottom 5 of the drivers, looking to try and get some more points on the board this week. So coming through Lesmo 1 and 2 now, looking nice and calm through there, picks up a small amount of tow from the Williams and moves just out of the way nicely. DRS is wide open as we go into this Ascari chicane. Sets a nice purple sector 2 there as a 53 seconds roughly as we head up to Parabolica now. Flying and taking absolutely maximum from that McLaren there. Takes it nice and wide. Again, just misses the apex, but he takes it still perfectly fine and goes P4 with a 20.9. A nice little lap time there. Adam unfortunately getting a 5th-place grid penalty. Not what he would have wanted. Not too sure what's happened there between himself and one of the other drivers there. But Tim Mann in the Sauber here on his flying lap just started it, and his teammate Fives is also on his flying lap, just coming through sector 2. That's a 53.5 now. So far his seems to be our quickest sector 2 of this session as we come up to the final and 11th corner. Here Monza coming round, takes that nicely, a lot of speed through there, hits the white lines of the track and goes 6th fastest. A nice little time there for the Sauber. We have got our championship leader currently in P9. Looks to be on another flying lap as we come around the Curva Grande there. He also has his teammate up in P4 currently, who's also set a 2nd flying lap and a fair bit quicker than his previous. With Anime now on as we come through the 2nd sector now, as we get through Lesmo 2, DRS wide open. Is he going to carry this one? Overtake is on and using as much battery as he possibly can. Little bit off the pace as he comes through sector 2 there. Not what he would have not what a lot of us would have expected, considering he is the championship leader and flying so far at the start of the season. Kind of dropped off a little bit now, but still looking very, very strong. Slightly wide through Parabolica there. Not what he would have wanted, but does take half a second out this time and goes P4 and just above his teammate. Very good so far from both Ferrari drivers. Do have Tin Man here as well, who is currently splitting the 2 Ferraris with a 20.8. Looking very good for him this week as well. Some very good lap times going in as we speak. Ago now goes pole position, or provisional pole, sorry, with a 20.1. Very good lap time there. We jumped on board his car just at the right time. Mr. G looks to have... Whoa, not too sure what's going on here. Not a foggiest what was going on between the McLaren and the Red Bull there. Capitano now coming through Curva Grande. Currently P10, looking a little bit strong this weekend for this race week. As he comes up to turns 4 and 5 into 6 and 7 of Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. Has got is that a Mercedes just ahead of him? Does get out of the way nicely. Has pulled over just before he gets to him, which is perfectly sensible of the Mercedes there, as Capitano does come through the Ascari chicane perfectly exited as well as we come up to Parabolica. Will he go nice and tight to the apex, or will he swing it out wide on the exit? Does swing it out wide on the exit. Perfect there from Capitano. Will it do enough to propel him up? It does, and he goes P7 so far. What a nice little lap time there. Track starting to get a bit quicker. Times starting to get a lot closer now. We have Oliver now on his flying lap in this Alpine. Does look very good so far. Currently P4 and half a second off the lead. Does set a purple sector 2 with a 53.0 so far. 2 tenths quicker than his previous lap time as well. So looking very strong to knock on the door of this provisional pole. Has got a couple of drivers ahead of him. Will they move just in time for him, or will they start their own laps? They move just into the pit lane with Oliver going up 1 position to P3. Nice little time there from our Alpine there. Adam currently P2 still is on an outlap. We've got Ago currently in his garage, just biding his time. Got Will also in his garage. Thief looking to propel himself out of this bottom 5 part of the these bottom 4, of the grid. It has looked a little bit strong. We do have rain coming in though. Could this be the end of people's qualifying? Not many cars will go quicker from here. And Thief goes 1.1 seconds quicker, but not quite enough to move him off of 15th and up the order. Unfortunate there for him. Anime has retired here. Probably possibly for the best for him, as it is starting to rain. Not many drivers will start to put lap times in now. Has somewhat ruined some drivers' laps as they were on them when the rain started to come out. Very, very unfortunate for the majority of the drivers out on track, and for those that try to leave it late in the session. Is coming down very, very hard now, and quite quickly. This has been quite costly to some of these late runners in session. So, as we possibly bring this qualifying to a close in a moment, just a couple of cars out on track as it stands. Not many going any quicker than what they previously were. That rain is absolutely coming down even harder now than what it was a moment ago. Very unfortunate for these drivers today at the end of, or the midway through this qualifying session. It'd be very surprising to see any drivers go out on track, but no doubt all of them, I wouldn't be surprised to see most, if not all, now possibly retire from this session with 3.5 minutes to go. The rain is no doubt only going to get heavier, or it is going to stay. I don't see many drivers improving any of their lap times from here. Those towards the bottom, 7, Will, Shifty, Thief, all very unfortunate. Although I do believe 7 had a qualifying, I do believe he had a qualifying ban. I will just find out for a moment while we wait for the rest of these drivers. It does look as if Ago is going to be our pole sitter in this race, followed by Oliver in P2, Mr. G in P3, McCoy in P4, Anime in P5, Capitano P6, Adam unfortunately drops to P7. Unfortunately, 7 did have a quali ban for this race. Not what he would have wanted, but no doubt, well, definitely will have a slightly harder race having a fight from P18 here, but definitely well worth the watch, because he could potentially have a very good drive going into this race, depending on weather and depending on how he gets on. But back to what the starting grid will no doubt be. So, as we know, Ego, Oliver, Mr. G, McCoy, Anime, Capitano, Adam in P7 with his unfortunate 5-place grid penalty, Tin Man in Sauber, Logan in 9th, Brian in 10th to round off your top 10. And then we have Oscar, Pizza, Fives, Zuck, Beef, Shifty, Will, and 7 rounding off the grid for this race here at circuit speed in Italy is Monza. So just waiting here now for McCoy and Shifty. Here we go, end of qualifying. So, what was this unfortunate grid penalty for? We will have a look quickly. Right, we've got a few track limits here. We've got Adam, unfortunately a collision with Thief, not what he would have wanted, especially qualifying so high up the grid, but definitely will have his work cut out for this race as we go into the next part of this. Right, here we go. As the drivers sort their strategies and their setups out, just to make the additional changes for this race, it is going to be dry. Potentially, if anything is to go by through quali, maybe a little bit of rain if it is like qualifying. But we could have a very interesting race going into this. Just going to take a moment's break just before we have lights out. Just gonna have a drink. We'll be back. So, as we just wait for the start of this race, a couple of things from last week going into this week. A couple of changes in the championship order. The Ferrari team have retaken the lead in P1 in the constructors via Logan's podium finish last week. They have now retaken the lead from the Aston Martin team in this race. So we now also have so also with Ferrari taking the lead does move the Aston Martin team down to second in the standings, with Haas now moving up to the top 3, moving into 3rd place. Still a fair few points off the top 2, but they did look to have a very strong race last time out. So we do have the formation up here, 18 drivers warming up their tyres. Track looks lovely and dry. Perfect conditions for this race, as Ego has driven quite far into the distance on this formation that just wants to get it over and done with by the looks of it. And to be honest, I don't blame him for just wanting to do this formation up and get it out of the way. So potential of a 1 or a 2 stop, medium to hard, or the double medium with a final stint on the hard tyres. So as we head round into the Lesmo 2 with Ego, we have got as first for Ego, Oliver, Mr. G, McCoy, Anime, Capitano, Adam, Tin Man, Logan, and Ryan as your top 10 for this race, with Oscar, Pizza, Farms, Zuck, Beef, Shifty, Will, and 7 rounding off the grid. But as we head but quickly before this race starts, finishing off with what its standings are going into this race, we have got 7 moving up into P2 in the drivers' standings after his win last time out, starting from the back of the grid today with a qualifying ban. Unfortunately for him, will have his work cut out for this race to try and get another win this season. Was his first win last week, and he make it a second win this week. Again, will have his work very much cut out for this race. So we also have a little shout out to Mr. G on getting his first podium of the season last week with a P2 finish. Is currently down in the bottom half of the standings in 13th, but that second place last week did move him up a couple of spots. So will he be looking to have a good race? Is starting 3rd here in Monza, so no doubt we'll be looking for that podium finish once again. Last couple of drivers lining up now. We will have 5 lights here. 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Lights out, and Ego gets us away, followed by Oliver as they both run up to turn 1 now. Oliver trying to get up ahead, does make it ahead into turn 1. We do have some contact at the back there as well. Ego does take that lead back as well. Mr. G has a little bit of contact there with Oliver. Did Oliver get pushed off at the exit of turn 2? It did look as if he did, but still a very long way to go in this race. A few little bits of contact down at the back of the grid. Adam has gone down to 18th from his top 10 start. Not what he would have wanted in these opening corners here. 7 up to 15th. Shifty and Will swapping places constantly right now at the back of the pack there, as we see Ego, Oliver and Mr. G all coming down towards the Escari chicane up at the turns 8, 9 and 10 here, through what would be the DRS zone on any other lap, as we come through the Escari chicane now, on watching Oliver here with Mr. G, McCoy, Anime all finishing off your top 5 here. We do have Tin Man, Logan, Fives, Capitano and Thief rounding off your top 10, as Capitano makes the move on, tries to make the move on Fives. They're not quite enough speed going into the parabolica there, as Ego sets our initial first lap as a 1 minute 25. Not bad for the opening lap of the race here, after having a little tussle with Oliver in the opening couple of laps, opening couple of corners. So Adam is in the pits. Is that a wing change we see? It is. Does look to be a wing change. Has gone straight on to the medium tyres. As we go back to the front of the grid here, we have Oliver and Ego battling out a little bit further behind than what it was last lap of round. Still 26 laps to go. Plenty of racing up for grabs here. As we come through the Ascari chicane, Oliver and Ego, 4 attempts between each other now. Mr. G very, very close behind with McCoy, Anime and Logan closely following as well, with Tin Man on the back of the Ferrari of Logan here, looking very strong into the Parabolica as we head down to the main straight now, with Tin Man having DRS on Logan. Can he get past into turn 1? Will he make the move? He is going side by side. Does back out very slightly. Does make it a brave, the right to call not to try to move into turn 1 there, and saves both their races very early on now. So Tin Man does have 5s. His teammate also on the back of him right now, possibly just maybe helping each other along just to keep within the back of everyone here, as we see Anime making moves up into P4, looking very, very strong here round Monza as we are on lap 3. He is currently in the top 4 now, looking to extend his lead on the top at the top of the championship as well. So looking to make the move on McCoy. Could he do it before the Parabolica, or will he wait for the main straight? Does look to make the move, tries to make it up the inside, doesn't quite actually make the move fully, does sit behind McCoy just as we get to the exit here. Looking to make the move on the DRS, does get it done well and truly before the corner as well, up into P3 and in that final podium position. We do have Oliver and Ego swapped places as well. Looks to have been done under the DRS zone. Now they are very, very close, going round Curva Grande here, up into the end of sector 1 and at turns 4 and 5. Going in very nicely there, both of them, keeping out of each other's way and keeping enough distance so they don't end each other's races too early or at all. As we come up to the Ascari chicane now, with DRS on both second and third place of Ego and Anime on back of Oliver, trying what they can. Does look to make the move, does back out, just keeps it nice and clean, just sat behind the Alpine driver here. Will have a nice run up to Parabolico, looking for the move. Will he stay behind to get DRS? Yes, he will. Has got a lovely slipstream off the Alpine here, and the Mercedes and the Ferrari and the Racing Ball all within close proximity of each other. Ego does make the move, gets it done early, with Anime trying to make the move down the outside. He does make it, he does go up to P2. Oliver is unfortunate there, loses 2 places, and we do have contact at the back there between the third and fourth place of Oliver and McCoy. Not too sure what exactly happened, but one of them has made contact with the other. Possibly a small amount of wing damage there, as Logan in the other Ferrari at P6 currently on the back of Mr. G. Half a second currently separates both of them, and they have made a small gap to the rest of the grid here, with the top 6 all within DRS of each other. Oliver looking to make the move on Anime, doesn't quite go round, but does have a little nose on the inside. Five's just having his own little race here at in P7, just taking it bit by bit, just letting this race play out. Tin Man and Ryan are battling out here for P8, with Thief very close behind and the second McLaren of Zuck. All in a nice little DRS train here with Tin Man leading this DRS train. The Haas of Thief does make a double move, does make it stick into turn 1, has a little lock-up slide, drifts around the corner slightly, does also lose back out on them 2 positions he's just made. That is very unfortunate there for the Haas driver, and it's brought Zuck and Capitano both into play even more than what they were just before that. So we also have a battle here for P13 of Pizza and Will and Oscar. Only a second separates the 3 of these cars as they all head up to the first DRS zone on this lap. As we head into Lesmo 2 now, will we see Oscar try and make a move on the Williams of Will? Potentially even make a move on the Mercedes of Pizza. Not down this straight, not quite enough speed with that DRS open. Very unfortunate for them. Potentially could make the move in on the main straight, but Ego could be under pressure now by Anime and McCoy as we head into turn 1. Looking to be a very strong race between these guys. Not quite, but McCoy does cut the corner massively, gets himself a 3-second penalty as well, as so does Ego, unfortunately having to cut the corner slightly to avoid the racing ball of McCoy. Not too sure what he was doing now. I think he just locked up going into turn 1. Was carrying a hell of a lot of speed going into that corner as well. He will no doubt will be kicking himself as he's just gone from the top 5 now down out of the points and down into P11. Especially not the opening laps he would have wanted. Anime does make the move on Ego as we go into the Ascari chicane. So it is now Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, Ferrari as your top 4, with the Red Bull of Mr. G leading, hiding away at the back of this little pack. So let's sit on board Mr. G for this lap and see how the drivers ahead of him cope with this race. Ego jumps into the pits early on now, lap 8 of in this race, and has boxed. No doubt will be changing their medium tyres for the hards. Yes, he does. Also has a front wing change. Does get held back slightly from the cars behind, cars going through the pit lane. So we do now have a double podium currently for the 2 Ferraris. Looking very, very strong for this race, both of them two. Started down just in the between 5th and 10th, both drivers, but have made their way nicely up into the two of the out of the 3 podium positions. So Mr. G, looking very strong, is flying behind the Ferrari of Logan currently. Does stick his nose on the outside to have a look. Doesn't quite make the move. Very sensible for these top 4 drivers currently. They still have 5s on the back of them though, with the top 6 currently leading the rest of the race or by 6 seconds. Currently some of the closest drivers as well. So Oliver does have DRS, makes the move on the outside just before we get to turn 1, and we do have again Oliver leading this race ahead of the 2 Ferraris. Has a spin on the exit of turn 2 though. Unfortunate for him, a few drivers are messing up that second corner there. Now we do have a yellow flag quickly turned into a green flag there. So it is the two Ferraris currently leading here in Monza. We are seeing a Ferrari 1-2 in lap 9 of this race. Can they both hold on to this and play a team game to take home the big points here? So Mr. G has got DRS, is saving a lot of his battery at the minute. So Mr. G doing what he can now to stay within DRS timings and to stay so he can open it down this straight. He will be able to do it on this lap around. Is 7 tenths behind Logan in that Ferrari, doing very well to keep within these leading cars now, and so is Fives currently in P4, 9 tenths behind Mr. G currently, but still leading, still having a very good race so far. It has started, the race in general has started to calm down a little bit. We still do have a fair few battles as Ryan is only 4 tenths behind Tim Man here, looking very good for both these McLarens in the points right as we speak. Right, Zuck is just about 3 seconds behind his teammate currently on his own as we see him in the background there, but both driving very good races for their teams. As we see, Mr. G has fallen away from the top 2 cars a little bit, does still have Fives battling him as we can see here in the timing screens. Fives does make a little mistake, that's very unfortunate, has dropped off a little bit further, which will bring Capitano and Oliver back into play slightly, with them closing that gap from 6 seconds down to 2.5 now. Looking to be, could Capitano in fact actually break into that top 4? Is closing that gap slowly, but not quite enough speed down this straight. Hasn't quite got enough battery left, but defending very well from Oliver right now as well, who also, well, actually has a fair amount of battery left. Could deploy it on the next DRS straight to get past, depending on how much Capitano can save around these next couple of corners. So he has managed to save a fair amount of battery for this. McCoy setting the fastest lap, Will unfortunately getting a penalty. Pizza is in the pits, and Capitano defending from Oliver brilliantly here. Will he try and make the move into Ascari? He does, and makes it perfectly. What a great move from Oliver there in the Alpine. Will now need to defend for everything he's got down this main straight while Capitano has the DRS. So overtake is on, battery deployed to fully defend from the chasing Red Bull here. Capitano just hasn't quite got enough in that DRS alone to make the difference on the times. Did fall away from a little bit, but now gained a fair bit of that. 9 tenths that he lost, he has gained 7 of that back. Looking very strong as we head into Sector 2 here, with Capitano and Oliver having a very good battle here. Both drivers trying to battle, trying to defend for all they've got while they can, and for what it's worth right now. Both sat nicely in 5th and 6th respectively, and Capitano with DRS open, overtake on, looking to make the move, sends a dummy on the inside, makes a move on the outside. Great little bit of driving there from the Red Bull driver. Oliver, not much he could have done. Did try and defend on the inside, not quite enough for him there. and now he will have the DRS going in after the parabolic going into the main straight. We do see Anime pitting now, which means the other Ferrari of Logan takes the lead. This is going to be one hell of a battle and one hell of a race between some of these drivers, as Oliver now makes his way up into P2, looking very, very strong. Fives, Mr. G, both pit as well from the top 5 drivers originally. Who will come out ahead? Who will do their best to make this stint work for themselves? As Oliver and Capitano now running away from the chasing pack. They are 10 seconds ahead of Will, who will have Anime no doubt closing in on him very, very quickly. With Oliver and Capitano though, they are 10 seconds off the lead from the Ferrari of Logan. So far, some brilliant drives from the majority of these drivers, and these two have taken the battle to a whole different level today. Looking very, very strong for all of them. Well, for both of these especially. Now, Capitano has got a fair bit of battery saved up. Oliver is using a fair bit of his. Logan now hits the pit lane, does get a 10-second penalty. Very unfortunate for him. Oliver jumps into the pit. Will he stop it in time? He does. So, Logan with a 10-second penalty. Capitano now takes the lead in this race and will have a clear run for this lap. Hasn't got anyone ahead of him. Clear gap behind him. Anime now up into second. Logan up into third. Ego now fourth and looking to close that gap on the 2 Ferraris ahead. So further down the pack, Logan now 6 tenths behind his teammate. Ego 3.5 seconds now behind the 2 drivers, the 2 final podium positions. Let's have a look at general penalties for each driver. So we've got a fair few drivers on 10-second penalties of Adam, McCoy, Oscar and Logan, all for speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately. Then we have Ego, Thief, Severin, Will, all on 3 seconds, along with Oscar also having a separate 3-second penalty, all for track limits. Very unfortunate for them guys, but plenty of time to gain gaps between drivers ahead and behind them to try and make them penalties basically, in their eyes, hopefully not to affect their race too much. So Capitano jumps into the pits now, has lost the lead of the race. It is now a Ferrari 1-2 once again, but both drivers need to work in unison here to try and build that gap now back to over 10 seconds to try and help the second Ferrari here of Logan, so he doesn't have too much, so that 10-second penalty doesn't have too much effect on him. So as the top 4 or 5 drivers have got a fair bit of a gap now, there is 3 seconds between Ego and Logan, 2.5 between Ego and Mr. G, 4.5 between Mr. G and Oliver, and then Capitano very close behind Oliver here, and again looking strong. Has he gone on to a set of hards? He has indeed. So almost everyone now running the hard tyres, and just Adam and Fives on the medium tyres. Potentially them two will no doubt have to do another stop, and Thief unfortunately gets a 3-second penalty here. So we've got Adam and Fives both unfortunately already on 2 stops 16 laps into this race, but hopefully they will be their final stops that they've done for them medium tyres that they're on now. and a fair few drivers moving in this race. Almost everyone apart from Oscar, Tinman and Capitano, who was the only 3 drivers that have stayed in their positions. Obviously moved about here and there through pit stops, but are the only ones that have basically stayed where they've been. So have got a fair few movers. 7 is up 6 places, Will up 2 places, Logan up 7, Anime up 4 places in this race, both Suck and Thief up 5, Ryan is up 2 places, and a few good moves here from drivers go out. So as Ryan is trying to look for the move just before this Irish chicane doesn't quite make it happen, as we come out to the parabolic now of turn 11 and the final corner on this lap. Oscar, unfortunately, with a 3-second penalty, will try and make the move now into turn 1. Has got the speed, has got plenty of ERS here compared to Tin Man. Has got DRS wide open, not quite using his battery to try and make the move. Does sit behind Tin Man for another few corners. Up into Curva Grande we go. Sits a little bit further behind now compared to what he did on the first few corners. Will have DRS next time around, no doubt. Has dropped to 8 tenths behind, 9 tenths behind, just over a second. Can he gain this time back before he hits the DRS detection zone? Is down to 6 tenths, well and truly makes it. Will have DRS going into this zone. Wide open, will he try and use the overtake? He does a little bit, not quite enough, probably doesn't want to quite use it all now, and no doubt is trying to save as much as he can just to try and secure a few points for himself and the team here. Looking for a very good drive so far from Ryan and Zuck as well, who's coming in his own little race, just taking it bit by bit as at the minute, with 9 laps to go. Does go slightly wide there. By the looks of it, clips, takes some of the stones or something from the bottom of the car there. With the McLaren now looking very, very strong here. So Thief 4 seconds behind in P10, with a fair few drivers behind him, all trying to get that final points position with these final 9 laps to go. So McCoy, 7, Pizza, all on the back of Thief here, looking very, very hungry for this final point here, and no doubt will try and do anything. Little slide there on the exit from Thief, but handles it very well, doesn't lose very much time whatsoever. Still plenty of fighting laps to go, and looking very strong to take this P10 for himself. 7 off last week's winner, down in 12th at the minute. A little bit outside the DRS detection. Can he try and make it in there before that? Before, not quite. Looking very wobbly, well, very nervy around that corner there, as Pizza has DRS, does make the move a little bit before the DRS zone is open, and makes it stick long before turn 1 and ahead of 7, who is now down into 13th place. Good little move there from the Mercedes driver. It brings some confidence to himself that he can now go on and attack McCoy in that racing ball and take his way up further up the grid. So McCoy still trying to overtake Thief. Will have DRS as we come through Lesmo 2 here. Adam now with a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. Very unfortunate there for him in that Aston Martin down in 16th. Not the race he would have wanted here. Has just been overtaken by 5 on the exit of Lesmo 2, sorry. But looking very nervy around this track, but could still make some moves when he gets round to this DRS in a moment. But we are on board McCoy here, who is currently P10. Did make the move just before Parabolica with Thief with the DRS. Has gained the advantage of DRS here. Will he try and make the move into turn 1? No, he doesn't. Just sits behind McCoy for a little bit here. Adam with another 10-second penalty. Not what he would have wanted in this race. That is going to be very frustrating for him. And the Aston Martin team in general would no doubt be slightly frustrated be frustrated at himself more than anything in this race right now, as Shifty goes past him while he's in the pit lane serving one of them penalties for... Oh, that is a very uneasy exit for Thief there on the exit at Lesmo 1 going into Lesmo 2. Has let McCoy close that gap to 2 tenths. Does make the move now as we go into this Scarlet chicane. Makes it well and truly. Has a little lock up as well, does Thief. That's going to be unfortunate. Hasn't. Oh, that's going to be costly for himself there. Just lets Pizza through now and potentially going to let his teammate through. But he has now dropped 2 or 3 positions from this race. Well, he's dropped 2 positions from where he was in that previous lap. Very, very unfortunate from the Hash driver there. Not what he would have wanted. Pizza now is 6 tenths behind and closing that gap to McCoy for P10. And looking to be a very close end between these few drivers. Oliver still having a battle up into for P5 in this race with Capitano. These two have been battling basically all race long, or since a fair few laps anyway, before they both boxed for the hard tyres that they're currently on. This battle could go right down to the wire, and is going to be a very good one at that, between the Alpine and the Red Bull. So Oliver does make the move before the DRS zone. Did have DRS as well to gain that little bit of an extra advantage going into turn 1. Makes it stick and does very well to stay ahead on the exit of turn 2 as well. As we come round the Curva Grande, did start to pull away a little bit, but not quite enough power right now in that car to make any sort of proper lasting effect. So heading back towards the top of the grid here, we've got Ego currently P3, 4.5 seconds behind the leading 2 cars, and looking very strong to grab that 2nd place finish. Mr. G is currently 4 seconds behind the final podium spot, and again looking a bit stronger to be able to grab that P3 finish that he no doubt wants in this race right now. as an unfortunate little lock-up going into the little chicane there as we come up to Lesmo 1. Nice medium speed right-hander there. Perfect angle to see that corner now. As we come through Lesmo 2, another medium speed right-hander. Overtake is on for Mr. G. Looking to try and close the gap on that top 3. It is only 3.6 seconds behind Ego, who currently has a 3-second penalty. But there is still a long way to go in this race. The top 2 are currently 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack, and still looking very strong to take home this 1-2 finish. Although the Ferrari of Logan does have a 10-second penalty and no doubt wants to try and make his way, well, try and get his way into a safe distance to stay inside this top 10, like this, inside this top 2 this race. Mr. G just going wide on the exit there does bring Oliver and Capitano back into this for the battle for P4 now. They are now 1.3 and 1.4 seconds behind Mr. G, with the Alpine and Red Bulls looking very strong right now. Will unfortunately getting a 3-second time penalty as well. A fair few drivers now all on time penalties. Only 1, 2, 3, only 6 drivers now without, 7 drivers, sorry, without time penalties. This could change a fair bit of the order come the end of the race now, with all of these penalties taking effect later on. So Logan and Anime looking very strong, have taken this race by storm. Great driving from both of them so far, with both drivers looking for this 1-2 and the team's first 1-2 finish season. So Oliver trying to make the move, doesn't quite make it stick on Mr. G and Capitano there, but very close racing going into turn 1 and 2. They were side by side coming out of the exit of turn 1, looking very good between these 3. Will Mr. G get overtaken by Oliver going into here? No, he doesn't. Cuts the corner very slightly, but I don't think it affected him in any way in terms of track limits. As we come up to Lesmo 1 and 2, these 3 drivers are very close now, 6 tenths between them. This could be a very interesting couple of laps, as they have DRS now with Oliver and Capitano. Mr. G is a sitting duck as we head down into Ascari. Oliver looks to make the move, sits back, sits behind, and will no doubt try it again as we go into turn 1 and 2. Better exit though for Capitano on the exit of the Ascari chicane there. As we come up to Parabolica, but all 3 drivers still very close. A little bit of contact there from the 2 drivers just behind Capitano and Oliver, getting very close on the entry of Parabolica. Now they've got Capitano, Oliver, and Oliver does move up into P4. Not too sure what Mr. G is doing with Capitano. Not too sure if he was trying to give him the slipstream down that main straight, but it didn't quite help the 2 drivers there. They did lose a little bit of time on Oliver, and now they are both behind him, with Mr. G currently P5, and does get past Oliver, who has a little wobble on the exit of turn 5 there. Now into Lesmo 1 and 2. The 2 Red Bulls are now P4 and 5. Mr. G, Capitano, and Oliver now very close. 7 tenths between them. Capitano and Oliver with the DRS. Who is going to get past 2 potentially in this time around? They do stay in the same order as they enter the Ascari as they exit now, with Capitano getting the better exit. Will he make the move on his teammate? Does get past him as we enter the Parabolica. Mr. G now with the DRS, will have the DRS here. Does get back past his teammate on the inside of the parabolica. Does have the DRS on. Capitano has the DRS. Oliver gets past Mr. G. And this is going to be extremely close. Now, as them two get... Oh, they have a little tangle. There is contact and there is possibly a wing broken as we enter the final lap of the race. Oliver now is 9 seconds behind the leading cars. This is going to be a very tense battle to the end of the race. As we have Ago 5 seconds behind. Logan now half a second behind his teammate. Them two are going to take home a 1-2, but it could all change potentially down to these final couple of corners as we hit the Ascari chicane. Capitano gets past Oliver now. Once again, the Red Bull is in P4, the Alpine is in P5, and the other Red Bull is still in P6. Drifting a little bit further behind, hasn't got much battery left, is also leading. Anime has taken home the win. Ego comes home second. Logan in third. Oliver will come home in fourth. Capitano fifth. Mr. G sixth. Tin Man will come across the line in seventh. Brian in eighth. Zach will come home in ninth place in that McLaren. Has had a very lonely race here. McCoy in 10th. Unfortunate race for him there. Does have a 10-second penalty. 7 will no doubt jump into 10th place. Yes, he does. 5's now up into 11th. McCoy down to 12th. Unfortunately, will take home 13th. Pizza will come home in 14th. Oscar now coming round the parabolica for his final time in this race. And he will come home and finish his race in 15th with Beef and Shifty now in the final few places in this race. Adam finished the race in 18th, very unfortunate there. But what a close battle it was for the top, for 4th, 5th and 6th. Fantastic racing from at times from them three drivers. Absolutely cracking battle they gave us in them final couple of laps. And could not take anything away from them. It's another win for Anime Boy in this race. It's another win for Anime in this season. I believe that is his fifth this time around, with Logan coming home in third with his unfortunate time penalty, crossing the line in second, dropped to third, and Ago taking home second place in this race, with Oliver Capitano, Mr. G, Tin Man, Brian, Zark 7 finishing off the top 10. So a few drivers on the 2 stops, a few on the 3 stops. Adam, unfortunately, going for a fair few stops for himself. But here we go. That is our race here on Monza. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been Bucko, and until next time around, see you then. Bye bye.